Hi, my name is Monica, and today I'm going to be showing you the easiest way to create an SSL certificate using Let's Encrypt. I say it's the easiest way because most instructions found on the internet require you to run command line programs that aren't user-friendly. The method I'm about to show you does not require any of that. Let's get started. Let's Encrypt is a free, automated, and open certificate authority. Traditionally, companies have to contact a certificate authority such as Comodo, GoDaddy, or DigiCert to obtain SSL certificates, and depending upon the numbers of years you purchase, their costs range from $99 to $500. Let's Encrypt, on the other hand, is similar to Comodo, GoDaddy, and others, but with a big difference. There is no cost. It's 100% free. There is one catch, however. These certificates must be renewed every 90 days. So, let's see how to use Zeems in order to create these certificates. Before I actually give you a demo, I'd like to talk about some important points. First, the method I'm about to show you is even available in the community edition of Zeems. Therefore, anyone can use this feature even if they are not using Zeems for email filtering. This way, you don't have to spend on the SSL certificate and also on how to create them. Moreover, these certificates can be used with any web or email server to enable SSL. Second, an SSL certificate is always issued for a domain name. For example, if your email server's hostname is mail.example.com, the SSL certificate will be issued for this domain name. When someone connects to your server, they will expect an SSL certificate issued for this hostname. And lastly, certificates issued by Let's Encrypt are only valid for 90 days. Therefore, they must be renewed before they expire. Before signing a certificate, Let's Encrypt needs to verify you are the owner of the domain. This step is called responding to a challenge. There are two ways to respond. First, Let's Encrypt will send an HTTP request to your hostname looking for a file. If they are able to fetch the file, that means you own the server, and then they will issue a signed certificate. The second method is to add a special text record in your DNS server for this domain. The assumption is that if you're the owner, you will have a way to add the text record. Although you can use either method, the first is better because Zeems can automatically renew the certificate close to their expiration date without any human interaction. If you decide to use the second method, you will have to manually update the DNS record every 3 months. We will use both methods in this demo so you know how to use them. Now, let's see how this works. If you don't have Zeems installed yet, visit our website and download it. Remember, the Community Edition is absolutely free, and this is all you need to generate these certificates. So here I am, connected to my Zeems web interface, and I'm logged in as admin. To create a certificate, I click Manage SSL Certificate under Server Configuration. I then click this button to create a new certificate. Before displaying this page, Zeems will try to figure out your fully qualified host name as seen from the internet. If it's able to find this name, you will see this field populated. It will be blank if Zeems is not able to find the name. In that case, you will have to type the name manually. The test certificate box allows you to create a test certificate. We always recommend you use this option in the beginning to see if you run into any problems later on. Note that the Let's Encrypt has some strict policies regarding the number of requests received for one domain. Therefore, do not issue a final certificate until the tests pass. The challenge type contains 3 possible values. The first option assumes you have configured Zeems to listen on port 80. You will see this message if Zeems is not configured to listen on port 80. The second option assumes you have another HTTP server running on this machine that is listening on port 80. For example, IIS, Apache, or any other server. Since the server is running on the same machine, Zeems will copy the response to the challenge to the root folder of that server. The final option is DNS. We will talk about this later in the video. For this example, I'm going to configure Zeems to listen on port 80. To do that, I select the first option. At this time, my Zeems is not listening on port 80. Therefore, I click here to configure Zeems. Note that Zeems must be restarted after changing the HTTP port. Therefore, I'm going to restart Zeems now. Once Zeems is restarted, I go back to the same screen. And now I don't see that warning I saw earlier. Instead, I see a confirmation that says that Zeems is already listening on port 80. Since this is the first time I am generating my certificate, I'm going to create a test cert by checking this box. Finally, I click the Proceed button. This step may take a few seconds. Once the certificate is issued, you will see a success message. Note the message towards the top, which reminds you that the created certificate is for testing purposes. Another important thing to remember is to restart Zeems once your certificate has been issued. Now, let's create another test certificate using DNS. Steps here are similar to HTTP, but I'm going to select DNS for my challenge. I see the terms page when I click Next. Finally, I see the text value that should go in the DNS server. This is the host name, and this is the actual value. I'm using GoDaddy's DNS server for this example, and therefore I use their web interface to enter a new text record. After adding these records, try running this command from any computer. It should return your entered values. This confirms DNS is working. After confirming the DNS entries, click Proceed. Again, you will see a confirmation page. Now, let's talk about what Zeems did in the background. First, it created a public/private key pair for your user as well as your domain. Then, it sends a CSR, which stands for Certificate Signing Request, to Let's Encrypt. After receiving the CSR, Let's Encrypt will either check port 80 on your hostname or the DNS server, depending upon the challenge method you selected. Once the challenge is satisfied, Let's Encrypt will issue you a certificate file. Another important piece of information to keep in mind is that an SSL certificate can be saved in different formats. The two most common formats are PEM and PKCS12. Let's Encrypt uses PEM format to generate their certificate, which is used by the Apache server. PKCS12, on the other hand, is used by Microsoft, IIS, Zeems, and every other product published by Cinemetric Technologies. Therefore, before displaying the confirmation page, Zeems will convert the certificate to PKCS12 format. Both formats are saved on your disk, in case you need to use the certificate on any other server besides Zeems. Now, let's talk about renewal. Remember, certificates issued by Let's Encrypt are only valid for 90 days. If you use the HTTP method above, Zeems will automatically renew the certificate after about 85 days and will send you an email confirming its status. Ensure port 80 remains open so challenge/response works. If you decide to use DNS, Zeems will send you a reminder via email so you can manually update the server. And that's pretty much it. There's no need to mess around with any command line programs. Using a simple web interface, you can easily generate SSL certificates for any server.